What if you're just telling me a story and I don't know, like my head is spinning.
As we will talk about it, I think I have to do it.
So I should trust you, but it's so difficult to trust you when all this has happened.
You have to be careful. Do not use email for face-to-face or encrypted phones. Nothing else is safe. Just believe me.
In 2014, a little-known woman named Dr. Ruja Ignatova emerged with a bold claim that her new invention could make anyone rich. Dr. Ruja wasn't well known at first, but she quickly became incredibly rich and famous. Then on October 7, 2017, something mysterious happened. Dr. Ruja vanished without a trace. What happened to her? Where did she go? And why did this make her one of the FBI's most wanted? This is a story about luxury, greed, and a huge $15 billion scam. Put on your detective hats as we explore the case of the world's most wanted scammer who disappeared without a trace. Before we dive into Ruja's story, we need to understand what made her rich, the strange world of cryptocurrency. Most people have heard of Bitcoin, which I also made a full video about its origin. You can check it out to help give you more detailed understanding of Bitcoin's origin and the identity of the owner. For the sake of this video, I will highlight a few areas about its origin that will help keep you on track. After the 2008 financial crisis, a mysterious person named Satoshi Nakamoto introduced Bitcoin on an online forum. Satoshi believed banks had too much power and created a new type of money not controlled by governments, using a technology called blockchain, which we'll explain later. Nakamoto started developing the code for his cryptocurrency, and the rest is history. As of 2024, Bitcoin is still the biggest cryptocurrency in the world. Interestingly, the real identity of Satoshi Nakamoto, believed to be a fake name, and the other developers of Bitcoin are mostly unknown. Soon after Bitcoin was introduced, other cryptocurrencies started appearing. In 2014, Dr. Ruja Ignatova launched a new cryptocurrency called OneCoin. She announced that the crypto revolution was happening quickly, and anyone who didn't join would miss out. Ruja claimed that OneCoin would become the top cryptocurrency. It was easy to be impressed by her, and her accomplishments were impressive. Born in Rus, Bulgaria, on May 30th, 1980, Ruja was a standout achiever. She graduated from Oxford University, spoke multiple languages, earned a PhD in law, and worked for the famous consulting firm McKinsey & Co. With her impressive background and charming personality, many investors believed her claim that OneCoin would outshine Bitcoin. However, things were not as they seemed. So, what was OneCoin and how did it work? It wasn't as simple as just buying cryptocurrency. Instead, Ruja's idea was to sell educational membership packages that promised to teach people about financial freedom. These packages cost from $100 to several $100,000, so people from all walks of life could invest in OneCoin. Cryptocurrencies can be confusing, but Dr. Ruja made the complicated stuff easy to understand. She also used the 2008 economic crash to her advantage, blaming banks and the government for financial problems to attract people to her new investment. When OneCoin launched in 2014, it quickly attracted attention. In its very first month, it had 3,000 paying members, and by the end of December 2014, that number had surged to 30,000. By 2016, the growth was even more astonishing, with the One Life network boasting over 2 million members. By that time, she claimed that each OneCoin was valued at $7.56. To grasp the potential returns, let's look at what she suggested investors could make from selling the OneCoins they accumulated through purchasing educational packages. In 2016, the most prominent educational package she was promoting was the Ultimate Package, which included 1,311,111 OneCoin tokens and was priced at $130,600. According to her claims, investing $130,600 in this package could potentially yield high-tier investors a staggering $9,911,999 once their OneCoins were converted and sold. This represented a profit of over 7,400%. The allure of investing early was that as OneCoin became more widely known, its demand and value were expected to rise even further. As time went on, Ruja's influence grew, and OneCoin's value continued to climb. By 2019, Ruja claimed that each OneCoin was worth $28.81. Members became increasingly obsessed with watching the value of their OneCoins rise. However, it soon became clear that something about the situation wasn't quite right. As OneCoin continued to generate revenue, Ruja was luxuriating in her newfound affluence. Everything about OneCoin began to exude extravagance. The company organized webinars, public speeches, and grandiose stage events that featured dramatic pyrotechnics lighting up the sky. These spectacular events quickly earned Dr. Ruja the title of Crypto Queen, and she became a global sensation, admired by people around the world. This success translated into substantial financial rewards for me. With billions reportedly amassed, she indulged in all the opulent pleasures associated with the wealthy and famous. She adorned herself in high-fashion ball gowns and costly jewelry, which became her trademark for every occasion. Glamorous events became synonymous with the OneCoin brand, and she was consistently in the spotlight, representing this new financial movement. In May 2016, she celebrated her 36th birthday with a lavish party at the renowned Victoria and Albert Museum in London. The guest list was a who's who of OneCoin's top buyers and executives, as well as celebrity figures like Sir Tom Jones. Given the level of success and wealth Ruja was experiencing, it seemed as though every day was a celebration for her. Aside from the evident pyramid scheme structure inherent to the OneCoin company, there was an even more glaring issue that ultimately led to catastrophic consequences for investors: the coin itself. Cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin function effectively due to a highly advanced technology known as blockchain. Blockchain operates as a comprehensive, shared ledger that records every transaction made with a particular cryptocurrency. This technology ensures that all digital transaction information is accurately recorded and disseminated, maintaining transparency and preventing fraud. The immutability of blockchain data is a key factor in the widespread trust in cryptocurrencies, as it prevents corruption from banks or other authorities from altering or tampering with the system. Given that cryptocurrencies rely on blockchain technology to operate legitimately, Ruja soon faced numerous inquiries from both her enthusiastic supporters and skeptical critics about the blockchain technology underpinning OneCoin. However, here's where the plot thickens. Brace yourselves, because things are about to get intense. Unbeknownst to Ruja's followers was a critical yet profoundly significant fact. OneCoin didn't utilize a blockchain at all. The cryptocurrency that Ruja had created was entirely fraudulent. Since Ruja had attracted ordinary individuals who were unfamiliar with cryptocurrency technology, she was able to easily convince them that OneCoin's blockchain was so complex that even crypto experts could not comprehend it. In reality, OneCoin was simply using a standard database to manage their currency. With OneCoin operating on a standard database, the cryptocurrency could be easily manipulated and adjusted at will. Ruja had the ability to fabricate figures out of thin air, enter them into the database, and falsely claim that transactions had occurred or that the value of OneCoin had risen. She could even, and indeed did, generate additional OneCoins at a moment's notice, an action that is typically avoided in the cryptocurrency world because it can drastically affect the value of the coin. However, much of Ruja's consumer base was not well versed in these technical details. Instead of being suspicious, they were thrilled when, in June 2016, Ruja made a grand promise at London's Wembley Arena to double their OneCoins as a gesture of gratitude for their support. Unfortunately, this sense of elation was short-lived, as it would soon give way to shock and anger. It was evident that Ruja had captivated a vast number of people who were fully invested in her cryptocurrency scheme. The Crypto Queen had such influence that she could convince her followers of almost anything she wanted. Thus, when on March 1st, 2016, OneCoin abruptly announced that their digital exchange platform, XCoinX, would be temporarily closed for 2 weeks of maintenance, very few investors questioned it. Although XCoinX did reopen as promised, the supposed improvements were minimal, with the notable exception of the interface having canceled numerous users' pending transactions. This was an unusual development, but not entirely unacceptable, and operations soon resumed as normal. However, this was just a prelude to the much larger issue that arose in January 2017. At that time, OneCoin unexpectedly shut down the XCoinX exchange once again, but this time it was a permanent closure. Investors found themselves unable to cash out their coins, and the company reassured them to be patient, promising that they would be able to redeem their coins once the company went public on the stock exchange in a few months. But as events would later reveal, this was all part of Ruja's elaborate scheme. The promised public offering never materialized. By October 2017, the situation was about to deteriorate significantly. Amid growing suspicions and rumors that OneCoin was a fraudulent scheme, the U.S. Justice Department launched an investigation into the company. Since OneCoin had been receiving substantial funds from the U.S. since 2015, the scrutiny on Ruja intensified. Realizing her predicament, Ruja fled. On October 7, 2017, she boarded a flight from Sofia, Bulgaria to Athens, Greece. Upon arriving, she disembarked, walked across the tarmac, and vanished. Since then, authorities have had no trace or word of her whereabouts. In 2020, the FBI intensified their efforts to locate Ruja by offering a $100,000 reward for information leading to her capture. This reward was increased to $250,000 in 2022. But despite their best efforts, all attempts to find her have so far been unsuccessful. Some believe that Ruja cleverly vanished without leaving a trace and is now living a luxurious life on a tropical island. Others contend that she may have met with foul play. In early 2019, a Bulgarian police informant claimed that Ruja had been murdered on a yacht in the Ionian Sea, though this account has never been verified. Despite Karl's conviction representing a move toward justice, the question of Dr. Ruja's whereabouts remained unresolved. Speculation about her fate has been rife for years, and it is doubtful that the true story will ever be fully known. Throughout much of OneCoin's operation, the project was managed by Carl Sebastian Greenwood, a U.S. citizen. Carl was a key partner with Ruja in the OneCoin venture and enjoyed the benefits of their illicit gains as much as she did. He played a significant role in orchestrating the global scam, and when law enforcement finally apprehended him, he was sentenced to 20 years in prison in December 2022. However, with Ruja's whereabouts remaining a mystery, it seemed as though there would be no resolution for those who had been duped. Yet, Ruja had inadvertently left behind a crucial piece of evidence. To give you an idea of the scale, at its height, OneCoin was generating an astounding $430 million in revenue each month, all without the essential technology required to authenticate its legitimacy. Dr. Ruja had successfully deceived countless individuals, leaving them none the wiser about the true nature of her scheme. When the FBI finally managed to track down the OneCoin management team in 2019, they were left astonished by the scale of the fraud and the fact that it had gone undetected for so long. All along this video, we have been talking about Dr. Ruja Ignatova as the face of this whole scam. But new information suggests that Ruja Ignatova's case might extend beyond a mere financial scam. The possibility now arises that she was entangled in something far more sinister and complex. Those entrenched in the core of Ruja Ignatova's vast empire, along with those actively pursuing her, are disclosing for the first time a potential connection between her and a significant crime syndicate. Reports indicate that Ruja was subjected to severe physical threats from these individuals, criminals of the highest order, gangsters with a reputation for ruthless behavior. As a result, Ruja vanished completely from the public eye. This situation is indicative of real, serious, and well-organized criminal activity. Ruja, having been privy to too many secrets and having crossed paths with the wrong individuals, found herself ensnared in a perilous web of organized crime. Frank Schneider, who previously served as Ruja Ignatova's spy chief, is now facing serious allegations of fraud and money laundering. Additionally, he is on the verge of being extradited to the United States. His current situation is rather bleak and monotonous. Despite the relative luxury of his spacious residence, it is, in essence, a prison. He is confined to his home, completely restricted from leaving, shopping, or engaging in any normal activities. His existence is entirely governed by the constraints of house arrest. Given the gravity of his predicament, with the prospect of spending the remainder of his life in a U.S. prison, Schneider felt cornered and compelled to cooperate. In his desperate situation, it was in his best interest to disclose information. It is apparent that his involvement in the fraud is significant, and it is reasonable to infer that he possesses far more information than he initially revealed. During his period of house arrest, Frank Schneider did provide the BBC with crucial documents pertaining to the finances of OneCoin. These documents were notably important and included a substantial array of internal records. Among these records were detailed accounts of financial transactions totaling millions of dollars. This disclosure sheds light on the scale and complexity of the financial dealings associated with OneCoin, further implicating Schneider's deep involvement in the fraudulent activities. Examining the individuals behind these companies reveals a network of highly dubious characters involved in significant financial trafficking. OneCoin's activities extended beyond merely laundering money stolen from victims. It was also managing funds from a diverse array of shell companies. Some of these shell companies were based in Britain, and notably, several of the British firms investing in OneCoin had connections to serious criminals, particularly those engaged in transferring money from Russia and Ukraine. For instance, one of the entities was linked to Viktor Yanukovych, the former president of Ukraine who fled the country and is alleged to have embezzled billions of dollars. Another company had ties to a Ukrainian arms dealer involved in the illegal smuggling of weapons from North Korea to Iran. These connections between Ruja Ignatova and various criminal figures raise serious questions for investigators, suggesting that the situation may be far more complex and deeply entrenched than initially understood. Rumors had long circulated suggesting that Ruja Ignatova might be involved with criminal organizations, but no one had concrete evidence. It remained largely speculative until Frank Schneider revealed to investigators that Ruja was indeed deeply entangled with various organized crime groups. This revelation came to light in Dubai, where Ruja was reportedly threatened, if not directly, then certainly with the implication of physical danger. She had been approached by a group of British individuals at a cafe who made it clear that she would receive a demand and that failing to comply would result in severe repercussions. This amounted to a form of blackmail and extortion, involving tens of millions of dollars, with threats directed at both her and her family's safety. These individuals were described as criminals and gangsters, though the specific identities were not disclosed due to security concerns and the protection of Frank's own family. The BBC has reason to believe that the individual behind the blackmail was Gary Murphy, a prominent British gangster with a significant criminal background. Murphy, a convicted drug smuggler from Liverpool, is a well-known figure in the criminal underworld. Interestingly, Murphy's involvement seems to have begun with a peculiar extortion attempt before he eventually became associated with OneCoin. This sequence of events appears unusual, suggesting an intriguing and complex entry into the criminal network. UK court documents disclose that Gary Murphy later took on the role of an enforcer for OneCoin. It is evident that Murphy was engaged in various facets of the fraudulent activities, including providing protection and pursuing outstanding debts. There is a figure in the OneCoin story called Christopher Hamilton, who is a British businessman. He's been accused by the US of laundering $100 million for Ruja's boyfriend, Gilbert Armenta, charges which he completely Hamilton denies. Christopher Hamilton is also accused by OneCoin for attempting to steal their money. One day, Hamilton began receiving threatening messages demanding the return of the money. These messages were accompanied by photos of him and his wife at a service station, as well as images of his family and grandchildren. Investigators have traced these extortion attempts back to Gary Murphy, who is believed to have been orchestrating the pressure on Hamilton on behalf of OneCoin. The leaked Europol documents also link Ruja and OneCoin to another alleged organized crime figure. There's this mysterious name that keeps popping up all over the place. Rumors online. He has all of these sorts of strange connections to OneCoin and to Ruja. And it's so confusing as to who this man really is. His name is just Taki. His nickname is the Bulgarian Cocaine King. Taki, he came up more than once. It wasn't like it was a one-off. That was a recurring theme. He was the leader of a drug organization and is better known as Taki. Christoforos Amanatidis is thought to be a Bulgarian crime boss. But despite several police investigations into murder, armed robbery, and drug trafficking, he's never been charged. Taki is a mysterious figure. At one point, Interpol sought him for drug charges, but that alert is no longer active, and he hasn't been officially caught for anything. Despite this, he's widely feared. It's puzzling why Taki is connected to OneCoin. When you search for Christoforos Nikos Amanatidis, also known as Taki, you find some unusual results. Most of the information comes from blogs that seem to be full of nonsense. One particularly odd blog talks about his and his wife's excitement for the return of the Great British Bake Off, and their enjoyment of classic recipes like Victoria's sponge. It's odd to think that an alleged international drug smuggler would have such an interest. It seems likely that this is a fake blog created to distract from the real information about him, making it harder for people to find the truth. It was reported that photographs of the individual were shown to people who knew Ruja, or were in her circle to see if they could identify him. One person expressed a high level of confidence, stating that they were 95% sure they had encountered this individual several times, and that he was one of Ruja's bodyguards. The FBI reportedly refers to an international drug smuggler responsible for Ruja's security, and it is believed that this person is Taki. It was said that a major drug figure was providing her with physical security. When asked if Taki was a bodyguard, it was clarified that his associates would have been the bodyguards. The reasoning behind why a suspected high-profile drug dealer would be providing security in Bulgaria was questioned, with the suggestion that the arrangement might involve laundering money in exchange for protection. A source close to Ruja reportedly told the BBC that she might have paid Taki up to 100,000 euros a month for security. In such environments, akin to mafia situations, it is common to have to pay for protection, and as the stakes rise, so do the risks. Journalist Dimitar Stoyanov, who has been investigating Ruja's connections with the Bulgarian underworld, has stated that the Ruja investigation is the most perilous of his career. Stoyanov, now collaborating with the BBC, describes the investigation as dangerous due to the many efforts to suppress the truth. He believes that Ruja is closely linked to Taki's organization, and that Taki played a crucial role in her life based on the evidence he has gathered. According to Stoyanov, organized crime has a firm grip on Bulgaria, and the situation is grave. As an investigative journalist, Stoyanov has been assaulted more than 10 times and has had to leave the country on at least 4 occasions. Although he cannot directly prove Taki's involvement in organized crime, his sources within the criminal underworld have convinced him that Taki is a significant player with strong connections to Ruja. Stoyanov describes Taki as the capo di tutti I capi, essentially the head of the mafia, who possesses the power to assist anyone wanting to vanish or hide. Reports suggest that Taki was very close to Ruja, with some claiming he was the godfather of her daughter. The christening of Ruja's daughter was a lavish 3-day event, starting with a party on Ruja's yacht around the Black Sea, followed by the christening on an island. Europol documents and Bulgarian property records have uncovered financial links between Ruja and Taki's family members. There are indications of a mysterious property deal involving Ruja and Taki's partner, where Ruja bought land for a nominal amount and sold it for millions. Additionally, Taki's brother-in-law operates a company with connections to OneCoin, suggesting a financial relationship. It is unclear whether Ruja is providing protection for Taki or facilitating money transfers, but it is evident that there is a mutually beneficial arrangement. Taki's role and his relationship with Ruja remain shrouded in mystery, with no clear answers about their initial connection or Taki's involvement with OneCoin from the outset. Taki is described as a ghost, someone you hear about but never see or communicate with directly. He conveys messages through intermediaries, and those who fail to heed his warnings face severe consequences. Ivan Hristanov, a former government minister, investigated claims that Taki controlled a major criminal network supported by corrupt officials. According to Hristanov, Taki is the top figure in Bulgaria's mafia, wielding immense power where the state, political establishment, and mafia have merged into a single entity. With Bulgaria being one of Europe's most corrupt countries, experts believe its mafia holds significant influence over the political elite. Stoyanov, having clashed with Taki, describes his fear of returning home, constantly wary of potential threats. It is evident that Bulgarian agencies are believed to be working for Ruja and Taki, with Taki being the only individual capable of offering Ruja physical protection and shielding her from various investigations, including those by foreign agencies. No one knows the current whereabouts of Ruja Ignatova. The situation is described as a complex white-collar crime, akin to something you might expect from notorious criminals like El Chapo, but on a much grander scale. Even the most elusive drug lords eventually face law enforcement, yet Ruja remains missing without any trace. It was reported that no one knows Ruja Ignatova's current location, which is central to the mystery surrounding her. The situation has been compared to a white-collar crime on the scale of something you might expect from a criminal like El Chapo. But even the most notorious drug lords cannot evade authorities indefinitely. Despite extensive efforts, her whereabouts remain unknown. Frank Schneider, Ruja's intelligence chief, was one of the last individuals to communicate with her before she vanished. According to him, Ruja had expressed her need to leave Bulgaria despite assurances of safety and protection. She reportedly said she had to leave due to an impending police raid and pressure from her associates, indicating she had no other choice. The fact that the FBI only knows Ruja landed in Greece and has no information about her movements afterward suggests meticulous planning and flawless execution. This indicates that there was a well-prepared exit strategy, and Frank Schneider was believed to be the person who would know about it. Early accounts described Frank Schneider as the man behind the curtain, akin to the Wizard of Oz. His background as a skilled spy and deceiver led to mistrust. Despite law enforcement's efforts, finding Ruja proved impossible, and there was speculation about her current status. Some theorized that Ruja might be living a luxurious life on a yacht in the Mediterranean, but such a high-profile lifestyle would make it difficult to remain hidden. Given her previous lavish lifestyle, disappearing without a trace for an extended period seemed improbable. This led to speculation that she might no longer be alive, as completely vanishing for so long is extremely challenging. There was speculation that Dr. Ruja might actually be dead. It was considered a possibility, especially given her associations with dangerous organized criminals and the potential threats she faced. If Ruja had been involved in criminal activities, it was believed that many people might have wanted her eliminated. Regardless of whether she ended up in an exotic location or was killed, it was thought that Taki might have played a role in her fate. A criminal associate of Taki named Kuro reportedly had information about Ruja's disappearance. Kuro claimed to have overheard Taki discussing his criminal activities in front of Ruja. When Kuro questioned Taki about speaking in front of her, Taki allegedly responded that Ruja was as good as dead. Ruja vanished shortly thereafter. Kuro also obtained a secret police report, which he passed on to Dimitar. The report suggested that Taki's brother-in-law had been heard talking about Ruja while drunk and upset, claiming that she had been killed on a yacht in the Ionian Sea. The document indicated that Taki was responsible for ordering her murder and that Ruja's body was dismembered and disposed of at sea. If this information is accurate and Taki indeed ordered Ruja's murder, it would be a horrific turn of events, changing the narrative dramatically. The person who had defrauded investors out of billions, potentially including herself, would have become a victim. The central question raised was why Taki would want to kill Ruja. One possible explanation was that Ruja might have known too much. In mafia circles, if someone becomes a liability, they are often eliminated in a brutal manner. Given the violent nature of cartels, if Taki perceived Ruja as a threat and had the means to access her, it was thought he might have decided to have her killed. However, this remains speculative, though it seemed plausible. If Ruja were dead, it was believed that someone close to her, who knew about her funds or how to access them, might be involved. Although the billions Ruja had stolen had not been recovered, property records and eyewitness accounts indicated that Taki's associates were now residing in Ruja's Bulgarian properties. Many of her former properties were reportedly occupied by people linked to Taki. The notion of no body, no crime complicated the situation. It was uncertain whether Taki was responsible for Ruja's murder. but it was considered a strong possibility. After evidence suggesting Taki's involvement was published around 2018, Dimitar received death threats, forcing him into hiding. Despite his efforts to remain unafraid, he acknowledged the danger posed by Taki and the general fear in the community due to recent terrifying events. Dimitar's source, Kuro, had provided evidence to the CIA that Taki had ordered Ruja's murder, according to BBC witnesses. After this information was leaked, Kuro was assassinated in South Africa. The murder of Kuro and his associates was described as particularly brutal, with them being executed in their Cape Town home. This violent act was interpreted as a statement meant to warn others about the risks of dealing with Taki. Over the past year, 2 other high-profile criminals in Bulgaria have been murdered, and another has gone missing. When asked for updates, Dimitar reported another shooting in Bulgaria, where someone had been murdered in the street. He mentioned that another gangster was seen walking around Sofia when an assassin, reportedly from about 20 meters away, shot him in the head. The chilling thought was that one could be randomly targeted while walking down the street. Dimitar noted that the frequency of killings in Bulgaria was alarming, leaving uncertainty about the depth and power of those involved and their willingness to go to great lengths to prevent exposure. Experts suggested that these murders indicated an ongoing feud within the Bulgarian underworld, though no direct evidence connected them to Taki. It appeared there was a significant cleanup operation within the mafia's organized crime network. It was challenging to determine if these events were related to Ruja Ignatova or not. It was speculated that Ruja might be a target of this cleanup operation, though Taki had never been arrested in connection with her alleged murder due to insufficient evidence. The BBC reported the sudden death of another criminal linked to OneCoin, Gary Murphy, who died in a quad bike accident, falling off a cliff. This incident underscored a pattern of people either ending up in jail, dead, or disappearing. In a further development, Dimitar received news that Frank Schneider, Ruja's intelligence chief, had disappeared. Initially, it was unclear if he had been extradited to the US, but it was confirmed that he had vanished, similar to Ruja. This left Ruja Ignatova as the world's most wanted woman, with the FBI still searching for her. Despite reported sightings and a police raid in Greece, no body had been found. The uncertainty surrounding Ruja's fate remained. While it was possible she might be alive and orchestrating an elaborate deception, it increasingly seemed likely that she was dead. The situation felt as elusive as chasing a shadow, with speculations about her being alive in some distant location, seeming improbable given the dangerous individuals she had crossed. And so concludes the tale of Dr. Ruja Ignatova. It's remarkable to consider that a person from a small town in Bulgaria managed to deceive millions and amass billions of dollars. The key lesson from this story is that if something appears too good to be true, it likely is. Moving forward, we can only hope that our financial systems become increasingly robust and secure to prevent individuals like Ruja from exploiting unsuspecting victims in the future. This video was brought to you by the Legendary Gamer. If you enjoyed it till the very end, like, share, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Have a good night.